Hello and welcome to the Esperanto course. We said in the last video that we would first look at why Esperanto is so easy to learn. Well, we could go on for ages discussing that, but let's keep it down to just two facts for now. First, Esperanto is consistent. The organic growth that has existed in other languages has meant that different people have used different words and phrases, different sentences, different structures in different places and ways over time. In Esperanto, we don't have this type of confusion. The rules are clear and they're consistent. There is no such thing as irregulars, words and phrases that do not fit the accepted pattern. Now, once you learn a particular way of doing things, it's the same everywhere, always. Secondly, Esperanto is rather a small language, under 17,000 dictionary words in total compared to something like 500,000 for English. But it's designed in such a way to allow constructions from core root words that make perfect sense wherever you use them. Now, using a simple rule, as we've already mentioned, we can turn verbs into nouns, nouns into adjectives, and so on, and it's still always perfectly understandable even to a novice speaker. We can make a concept into a person, a place into a manner, a plural, larger, smaller, and opposite just by adding one letter. Using those 17,000 words, we can expand everyday usage geometrically. Now, in this course, we're going to be dividing our videos into three types. The first type, like this one, deals with some core part of Esperanto, such as keywords that we need to even start practicing Esperanto phrases or parts of Esperanto grammar. All of these are very simple and just give us a way of practicing some sentences. The second type is our general vocabulary booster, and in these videos we'll be looking at additional words that we can use to increase our overall knowledge of the language. And finally, we'll have some focused videos on a particular topic. Now, they're a little bit like our vocabulary boosters, but targeted at specific subjects or everyday activities. So let's get started. Okay, so in the rest of this session we are going to be looking at personal pronouns. But don't worry if you can't remember what those are from school. It really just means me, you, he, she, it, we, and they. In Esperanto, me, or I, is very easy to remember because it's just, well, me. All we have to do is remember that on paper it's spelt differently, because unlike in English, where we have to remember when we need to use e or e by learning over a long period of time, or by remembering a grammatical rule, in Esperanto all vowels are consistently short. A, e, I, o, u. You is v. She is just as easy to remember because it's just she, and that introduces us to the other thing about the Esperanto language. Compared to English, we've lost some letters that are a mixing of other sounds, or which are really just duplicates that have crept into English over time. But we've also gained some that in English we have to use multiple letters to produce, diphthongs like sh and ch. Other than one letter, which we'll see in a later video, all these additional characters have a small pointed hat. Shift 6 if you look at it on a keyboard. And the point of this is simple: get rid of any confusion. In Esperanto, we don't have letters that have different sounds under different situations. They're always the same, and the sounds are represented by a single character. In Esperanto, we don't have double characters that form together to force a particular sound. The English word rubble, for example, would simply be spelt rubble. In Esperanto, we also don't have redundant or silent characters. Knabo, or boy, has each character pronounced fully. Now, if the letter is in the word, you say it. If you do ever see two letters the same together, you are meant to pronounce them both separately, like metro. This system is great for spelling. If you can say a word, you can spell it because it's 100% phonetic. If you can spell a word, then you can always say it because every letter is always pronounced and pronounced consistently. So we now know me, vi, and she. He is li, while it is ji. The last two personal pronouns, the plurals, are we, or ni, and they, or ili. At the end of the day, these are only 7 words. Unlike other languages, they stay the same. There is no masculine, feminine, or neuter genders, as you get in other languages. So go around the house pointing at yourself, your family, people in photographs perhaps, and inanimate items. Make your family think you're going mad by calling out me, she, vi, li, ji, ni, and ili. Now there are two other personal pronouns that we will look at more further on in the course. Don't be overly concerned about remembering these now. It'll be better to learn them properly as we actually use them in practice. These are si and oni, the concept for which we seem to be using less and less in British English. In the case of si, we don't really have this in modern English at all. We can use this later on in a sentence when we've already identified who or what the subject is, such as, I did this because I. If we said me or li at the start of the sentence, we could use si later on. Using me or li again, however, well, that's perfectly acceptable as well. Oni is a little bit like the royal we in colloquial English, where we use something like, you need to do this, or in a more refined form, one needs to do this. It's not actually referring to somebody in particular, but making a general assertion. Don't worry about these, however, as we'll look at these a little more further down the line in practical situations. So one final thing for the end of this lesson. When you're saying these words out loud and feeling a little self-conscious about it, remember that Esperanto does not have a country attached to it. There is no standard Esperanto accent, only pronunciation. It doesn't matter whether you're English, French, Spanish or Swahili. If you can be understood, then you've got the right accent.